What's up, peoples? What's up, peoples? What's up, peoples? It is your boy, MM2K, back again with another Quick Dose. Quick Dose Live. Quick Dose Live, and this one is going to be quick. What's up, Joe Hansel? What's up, Cyrus Burke? He said, y'all ready for this quick 2-gallon dosage? Now, I'm going to be quick on this one, man, because this one doesn't, even though I wanted to address it, y'all, this one doesn't deserve a lot of time under the spotlight. Because at the end of the day, I'm going to keep it jiggy with you. It's a pathetic last attempt to make an excuse for a poor attempt. I'll say that once again. It's a pathetic last attempt to make an excuse for a poor attempt. We're going to get into it. But I appreciate everybody for joining. That's joining right now. We got homie Social Joints. Welcome to the chat. Social Joints says, let's not twist the words for clickbait. Social Joints also says, he made a valid and true statement. We know what he's not saying, everyone in US, so tech clickbait and victimist needs to cut it out. All right, well, we'll put that to the test of time, Social Joins. Hopefully you'll join us in reality, but we appreciate you for coming through. All right, so let's just get right to it, people. We also we got R&B the Third. He said Kojima pissing on gamers, fanboys calling it rain. Hey, look, man, that might be the hip hop quotable, bruh. That might be the hip hop quotable. Overdone. The clickbait from the media is real. Hey, overdone. I don't know if that's gonna work, man. Hey, Z already done lost his integrity and showed your true feelings for his latest efforts. But hey, yo, I'll support you however I can, man. I won't tell nobody else. It's just us and the internet. I won't let anybody else know. All right, man. I appreciate y'all coming through. Let's do this, man. Let's do this. The history of this game. All right, so we all know that Kojima had his big piff or whoop to do with Konami. And the way that was advertised was that Konami did Kojima so wrong that Kojima is just this loving plethora of artistry, and Konami just was trying to be the evil corporation and not let his artistry flow. And they did him so wrong. And then he finally parted ways with Konami, and he was all, everything was perfect from Kojima's side. That all of his wants and his needs, and the fact that up until I think 2015, he had 2 of the top 10 most expensive games of all time. But Konami was supposed to foot that bill and was always supposed to absorb his extremely wide appetite for costly development and out of this world thought, right? They're just supposed to go with it. It was all their fault. Kojima was not at fault at all because he's an artistic god. He's an artistic god, and who are we as peasants and mere images in the likeliness of God to contest him? So it was all their fault. He did nothing wrong. In culmination with that, he finally gets set free. The shackles are let loose. He signs a deal with PlayStation. People that really love him, they sign this deal with him. It sounds like that the ramifications of that deal is they own this IP to help him fund his vision. So they give him money. They give him an engine to help develop an engine that was already, impressive in a lot of ways, but he did help make it more impressive. And then they titled that baby Decima, so he did give a lot of contribution to Sony in return in that regards. In addition to that, they gave him money. They flew, before he even helped with the engine, they flew him around the world to go find other engines, quote unquote, right? Send him to capture studios, give him full access to the biggest and baddest Sony, capture technology, all this other stuff. And then they funded for him to get these big name actors, to call all of his actor friends, his A-list actor friends, to be in his little video game, right? They funded for all that, right? And because of that, And because of all the pizzazz put around this game, and because of all of the high action-based, just crazy symmetry that was around the cutscenes that he's shown, people were expecting, and he called this an action game, right? Because when he showed some earlier footages of the gameplay and it looked stealthy, people were like, oh, well, this is a new take on a stealthy Metal Gear, right? Kojima said, no. This is an action game. This is a Strand game. Because of the whole Strand thing, and you got to play this game to understand it. And that part of it is a halfway decent, integration. With that being said, he said, no, this is an action game. The sublet of this action game is just called a Strand game, but it's an action game. I am Kojima. I'm known for action games. This is an action game, right? So we get the action game, right? And as we said, okay, our eyes must be deceiving us because we're seeing a lot of stealth. We're not seeing a lot of action interaction, but we'll take Kojima at his word. He's tried and true, and he's a godly artist, right? Then the game finally comes out. Because as we got closer and closer, and it was apparent that Sony was putting the pressure on, you got to show more, Kojima. You got to show more. We got the Jim Ryan regime in here. They don't act like the old regime. You got to show more. He showed almost, I believe, 50 hours of gameplay, and it was walking. And to a lot, not everyone, I won't say everyone, to a lot of people's dismay, the jokes and the memes about this being a FedEx delivery simulator seem to be more realistic than just a joke. So people really turned a blind eye to this game. This is a walking simulator. I even joke, I called it Revenant Stranding, to coin the movie Revenant with Leonardo DiCaprio, where most of the movie is just him walking through the woods. With that said, we had Greg Miller from Always Funny Podcast or whatever. We had Young Gay. We had a bunch of people that told us, no! People like MM2K, they don't know what they're talking about. Kojima trolled us. What you saw in the gameplay really ain't the crux of the gameplay. I have it in my hands. This is not the crux of the gameplay. So then we get the game in our hands. And what do we find out to our dismay? Not everybody, but to a lot of our dismay. That was the crux of the gameplay. Okay? So in lieu of that, we're in 2019. And 2019 has been one of the most critical years on games that I've seen. There's a lot of games that I like that, I won't say a lot. A couple games that I like that's been getting the axe in 2019. And I get why. Some not, I don't think anything about that. There's a couple of games that are a little bit more questionable. More notably, Metro Exodus. I really was concerned at the reception Metro Exodus got. It really didn't. That game is like in high 80s, like borderline 90s game, I feel. But what it is that in 2019, the first person shooter or a game that does not, people are still running off a high of God of War, Assassin's Creed Odyssey, and Red Dead Redemption 2. They're still running off a high of that. They want high quality, high productive games, more notably third person, story driven, right? That have a coherent sense of mainstream gameplay with them, right? So in light of that though, however, Kojima comes out, and we'll go over what Kojima said in totality. Kojima comes out in lieu of all the criticism that he's getting for this game from from people, and it has a Metacritic a lot lower than people expected, even though 83, if you think Metacritic is worth something, a score of 83 out of 100 really is not bad at all. But people feel, when they hear about Kojima, they feel that everything has to be 90 or above, right? That's just the standard. And in light of this, Kojima came out and blamed the fact that the reception for his game didn't do well. In large part due to America and the American critics. And then within these American critics from America, that the context of the game, the crux of the game, is above their pay grade of understanding. Because Americans they can only understand and they can only absorb shooters. And we're going to talk about that. Before I get into my part of that, and then, we kind of deal with what I feel about this. Let's go to the chat. So we got Graphic. He says that the Western audience just doesn't get the vision of video games. Isn't this game influenced by the situations and political stances in North America? How did Eastern people not understand it? Hey, Graphic Art, who gave you my notes? Stay out of my notebook. Let's just go out of order. Well, let's be unorthodox because y'all love the unorthodox, right? Death Stranding is so unorthodox and y'all love it for it. But to take a note from one of my favorite movies, Paid in Full, if y'all seen that, Cameron, and it says, people die all the time, B. Get over it. Hey, look, there's unorthodox games all over the place, B. Get over it. Everything unorthodox is in Stellar. But we'll talk about that in a little bit. But to Graphic God's point, how mind-boggling and look, just frankly, how stupid is it that you use America as the centrifuge of this artistic point that you want to show gamers? That the fact that you have this walking simulator, this FedEx, DHL, come and get your makeup through Amazon simulator, the fact that that's the crux of your gameplay, but you feel that this artistic vision that you have will overcome that emptiness, and that artistic vision is based upon America, but in the same vein, you don't think America is stable enough mentally to understand what you're trying to do. How stupid does that sound? That is the dumbest thing I think I've ever heard in my life. You use a stupid group of people as the crux of your artistic vision. Shut up! Shut up! You don't get any dumber. And for those of you that want to make artistic genius synonymous with somebody that says something so stupid, all I got to say is, it's like my grandmama used to tell me, birds of a feather flock together. That's all I have to say on that. But Graphic God, homie, I need you to stay out of my notebook. Anywho, here's the issues that I have with what he was trying to do, or what he said. Kojima knows American culture. Now, a lot of you that are standing for Kojima and love him and think he's so great and weep every time you hear his name, you weren't even born when the first Metal Gear came out. And I played it as a teenager. So just so you understand that, trust me, I was around when Kojima first started, okay? I completely understand what Kojima is all about. I played the first Metal Gear as a teenager. Okay? And he's always been eccentric, right? But with that being said, Kojima was an American icon way back late 80s, early 90s on the regular NES system. he became a household name with gamers. So if you go from like 86, 87, 88, all the way to now, I can't even do I'm a stupid American. I can't do the math. You do the math, right? But thus many, many decades that this guy has been a household name in America. He has traveled to America. He has been embedded within American culture. Hell, he comes here. He knows that he's such a big name and he knows so much about America. The guy walks here with bodyguards. He knows all about America, regardless of his inability to speak fluent English or not, or his choice not to. Kojima feels like he doesn't have to. And for most of it, that's his right, and he's survived without having to do so, without having to conform in that nature. But with that said, Kojima is all knowing of American culture. Okay? More so than you, because he's dealt with American culture a lot longer than a lot of you have been alive. And those are just the facts. With that being said, saying such words to a publication so close to Veterans Day, during the Veterans Day weekend, took a level of boldness that I didn't even think he possessed. Man, oh man, oh man, that was bold. And that was bold for the simple fact that his synopsis on why his game is being so harshly criticized is false. So, not only do you do a gross generalization of some of your biggest supporters, you do a gross generalization of some of your biggest supporters that you base the artistic vision of your game around. But you do it on one of their biggest holidays. You do it on one of the biggest holidays that's to represent people that serve said country at a capacity and have died doing so, and they may not even agree. This ain't got nothing to do with politics. They may not politically agree with a lot of things going on right now. Veterans Day is not a political holiday. It's to honor those that made a sacrifice in the name of this country. You know what I'm saying? Living or not. I have an uncle that fought in Vietnam. I mean, and this stuff is serious. I have an uncle that fought in Vietnam. And he was shell-shocked. We love him dearly. He was so shell-shocked. I remember one time I can't remember what movie it was. We were watching an Army movie. And he's African-American. And he was the only African-American, I'm thinking, in his particular platoon, right? And he said he saw a bunch of horrible stuff. I won't even go into it here, right? And there was a scene where it was two white individuals, and it was an African American in a boat in Vietnam in this movie. And he hops up while we're watching this movie and he says, "Hold on, that's so and so and so and so." And then as they're playing the movie, that was the name of the character. I was like, how did you know that? Because he wasn't watching the movie with us. He had came in from the kitchen, sat down, was watching the movie with us for a couple minutes, and then he saw this scene. And he said, "I think that character is supposed to be me." And we're like, "What?" So we're teenagers. We're laughing at this mug went upstairs, put on his full army suit, and stood there in full salute, like he was in a trance. Now I say that to say this, that Veterans Day is not political. There are a lot of people, like my uncle, who don't agree with a lot of stuff that's going on now, with the people in power, all other stuff, but they still made a sacrifice. So on a day where America's made a sacrifice, and the ramifications or results like that, where you have an uncle that is just simply watching a movie, believes he sees himself represented in the movie, goes upstairs and for the duration of the movie is sitting in full military gear at full salute. That you had those type of people that had that type of impact to them based upon their sacrifice. Maybe it's not the right time to bloviate so much, Kojima, and make such a false and just bold statement that, again, it's not rooted in fact. We're going to go over why it's not rooted in fact. So what I'm saying on that token is that Kojima knew better. He should have known better and he should have done better. So it's a little disappointing that he's done that. It's also disappointing that you got people that are capping for him that may have relatives like how I have. You ain't got to agree with today's current politics and climate to appreciate that. But they're willing to overlook that because their favorite video game guy made a video game that they want to stand for. Man, I tell you, that Kojima sausage must be extra spicy. Golly. Now that said, I don't know if his intention was to slap people in the face. He probably wasn't thinking, but he should have known better. I'll leave it at that. I don't know what his intent was as far as connecting those two dots there, but I will say he should have known better. Especially, again, during this sensitive time frame. Now, it just caught my eye that Yohira Hanma says, MM2K, you're wrong for bringing your family into this gaming topic. No, I'm not. Gaming is a part of life. My uncle's a part of my life. To sit there and make a gross generalization of all Americans, despite what your politics are, especially Americans that have had arms blown off, legs blown off to do this in this time frame, just was a silly and stupid and insensitive thing to do. Gaming isn't on some planet in some other solar system. It's all part of life. And he made it about my family, your family, anybody's family. He did that when he did it in this time frame. And he should know better. Am I saying pick it or what's it called, Kojima? No. But the days of Kojima getting a pass as some type of artistic genius, that shit needs to be over. Because he clearly is not doing this stupid stuff like this. Period. Period. That said, next point in hand. It's just not true. What he's saying just isn't true. Can I show you why it's not true? Let me show you why it's not true. Bam. You see that? That's a tweet from your boy. This is where the rubber hits the road. This is where we take the biggest knife out of the drawer. So in response to what Hideo Kojima, well, in case y'all don't know what Hideo Kojima had to say, let's start from the beginning. As told by WCCF Tech and a lot of other publications, it says Kojima, Death Stranding had stronger criticism in the US, possibly because it flies above shooters. And part of the article reads as such: an interview with an Italian publication, TGCom24, published on release today, Hideo Kojima had the chance to discuss the early receptions of critics. While the average score was quite high, there were some lows as well, coming mostly from US publications. Kojima attributed this to their preference for first-person shooter games, whereas Death Stranding, in his own words, flies higher. And this is like the exact translated quote. I must say, the game received rave reviews, especially in Europe and Japan. Here in the United States, however, we've had a stronger criticism. Perhaps it's a difficult game to understand for a certain type of critic and audience. So for those of you that just said, no, he wasn't insulting, he was just talking about the critics and audience. Americans are great fans of first-person shooters, and Death Stranding isn't one. It flies higher. So one of the first things that people want to say is that, hey, MM2K, why are you upset? Why do you think, not necessarily that I'm upset about, I care less. The game is what it is to me. But why are you making such a big deal out of this? Because what he's saying is true. And I say, no, it's not. I have truth. It's not the truth. Now, is it true that the American audience loves shooters? Yes. But are we the only ones? No. What currently beat out Death Stranding in the UK? Call of Duty. So in a lot of the quote unquote Western countries, shooters are popular. It's not just America. Call of Duty leads those leaderboards in all of the Western countries. Not so in Asian countries. Okay. But why are you pinpointing that to America? When Exhibit A. This is my response to Kojima, which is factual. I say, no, Kojima. The most critically acclaimed games in the US this year are Sekiro, Devil May Cry 5, and The Outer Worlds. This gen, Witcher 3, and God of War. Far from shooters, sir. Want better acclaim here in vein of God of War? Do better. You know the rest. So, again, a region that loves God of War. A region that loves Witcher 3. Overall, this generation. And we're just talking critical acclaim here. We're not just talking critical acclaim here. We're talking about when you go to gamers and you say, what are your top 3 games this generation? Let's just deal with top 3. The top 3 games that they list, it's either God of War, Witcher 3, maybe not always in that exact order. From gamers and critics alike. When you go to this year, you say that all we can appreciate is shooters, but the top critical games this year is Sekiro, Devil May Cry 5, and The Outer Worlds. And even this year, as far as Call of Duty, even though I'm actually liking the campaign, Call of Duty is getting slammed for its multiplayer. So despite those facts, and that's the lightest. I'm about to show you Exhibit B that's really going to shut this dumb shit up. But in light of those facts, that statement is a farce. Because the critics are the ones that gave the scores. And the critics are the ones that said, there's nothing here to play. A lot of them did. Not all of them, but a lot of them said, there's nothing here to play. So we don't think it deserves a high score. Some critics even had the audacity to say, well, there's nothing here to play, but it's a wonderful piece of art. 9.5. So you have more of the latter in United States than you do of the former. You ponies were telling me that all the time. MM2K. Why are you saying that critics are being bad on Death Stranding when most of the critics gave it 9s and 9.5s? And in that tone, and at that token, you're absolutely right. They basically said the gameplay is a dud. It's boring. Big up to Khalif from Spawn On Me. Check that show out. Very great show. He was on Gamertag Radio, and he also did a write-up of Death Stranding for The Hollywood Reporter. Khalif said, now he loves Kojima, and he's a big fan of this game. He admitted too, he said, it takes 20 to 30 hours for the gameplay itself to even get remotely fun. He said, I was just enthralled to see what happens, like the storyline. And that was my point of debate, was just games aren't just, I want to see what happens as far as fun. You have to, if that's going to be the crux of your gameplay, there has to be a fun type of engagement between those connections, like a Telltale game. Even though you're just selecting dialogue, they do it in a fun and engaging way, and you know there's some type of challenge to it. And then on top of that, they don't consider their games an action game. for an action game where you're supposed to engage in action in between whatever sequences you want to use as a storyline, that interaction has to be engaging / fun. And I don't mean fun in the hippie lighting the incense sense. No. Boxers think boxing is fun. They're punching each other in the face. People think American football is fun. They're tackling each other and breaking ankles. But it's fun. The competitive spirit of it, the action in it, it's fun. Gets your adrenaline pumping. That's the definition of fun. Not no damn, oh, I'm a hippie and I feel like singing some Barney songs. No. Y'all out in the weeds with that shit. With that said, again, there is no truth rooted in his oversimplification of America and American gamers and American critics, period. It's wrong, as I show in Exhibit A. Now, before I go to Exhibit B, I'm going to go to my chat. I'm going to take note of all the L's that are in my chat before I hit you with Exhibit B. So let's do this. We got Yokohama. He says, bro, you sound real pathetic right now. Call it what you may. Again, that Kojima sausage must be extra spicy. Mr. Righteous Fish said, work ain't fun, but I go. Work ain't supposed to be fun. It wasn't developed to be fun. Work was developed to pay your bills. The L's will be collected in this chat. Overdone. 31 minutes in the topic, still about what the dev said. MM2, the random guy, voted for Trump. Kojima has C-tier Netflix-worthy writing. The story plot is whole scary. Let me see. Oh, here comes Top Dog. What sells more? Those he named or COD? This is going to be the big L number one. Can we read the statement again? I must say that games receive rare reviews. Where does he say sales? Top Dog. We said reviews. Especially in Europe and Japan. Here in the United States, we have stronger criticisms. Perhaps it's a difficult game to understand. What, Top Dog? I need you to stop drinking the Pennzoil and listen to me. Take off your Kojima onesie. Take out your Metal Gear Solid bib or binky. Listen to what I'm saying. We're talking about reviews. We're talking about criticisms. We're not talking anything about sales. Because even though I'm saying all this, I will say this as a follow-up to that. Anybody that doubts that Death Stranding is going to do bad in sales, or Death Stranding ain't going to win a bunch of Game of the Year awards because it is Kojima, are fooling themselves. So I'm rooted in reality. You're not. We're not talking about sales. We're talking about criticism. Not people that do reviews that are considered the creme de la creme and being able to gauge what are top tier games. That's what we're talking about. And he said that those people do not have the capacity to understand what he's trying to do, because all they do is they love shooters. Well, riddle me this. If all they do is love shooters, then explain why, when you look at the top critically acclaimed games for this generation, it's God of War, it's Witcher 3. When you even go to this year, it's Sekiro, Devil May Cry 5, The Outer Worlds. Until you can explain that totally contradicts his bullshit ass excuse, I need you to check yourself in to the nearest rehab and see if you can get your stomach pumped of all that Kojima sausage. But I continue to read. Let me see. R&B the Third says, isn't one of the biggest games in Korea Crossfire shooter? That well noted. Iron Fist is Kojima was talking about all console war Xbox. No, he wasn't. Stop. Big ups to Iron Fist. Wilson Hugh. MM2K, it's a misquote. He never said flies higher on the original Italian interview. Okay, that's a very good point. That needs to come to fruition, Wilson. If that was a misquote, if they misstated it, and being that all this whoop-to-do was happening around Veterans Day and the Veterans Day weekend, let Kojima come out and clarify. Just like he quickly came out and clarified when people were sitting there saying, hey, this is a stealth game. He immediately came out and said, no, this is an action game. Let him be just that swift. If he is, there you go. But as far as the news is reporting, as far as all these publications are reporting, that this is the translation of it. And Wilson, you are right. You could be very well right. And that has happened before. I've seen it happen with the translation from Guerrilla Games when they were talking about how much it cost to develop Horizon Zero Dawn. It was mistranslated that they said it cost only $42 million when they said it cost at least $42 million. So those mistranslations can happen. But on the same token, where Kojima at? He don't think it's important enough to clarify that? If he clarified that, then show me the link. The Almighty, he wants to be the recipient of Big L number 2. He says, I live here, as someone who lives here, he's absolutely correct. Again, reading is fundamental, D. I love you, bro, but reading is fundamental. I must say that games receive rave reviews. Where are we talking about purchases? We're not talking about the most purchased games, because in Europe, what beat out Death Stranding? What beat out Death Stranding? Can you say it, the Almighty? Say it in the chat. What beat out Death Stranding in the UK? Let me know that you still got a pulse. It's not just America. The Almighty. Can you say it? Can you get out of your fanboy fodder for a moment and say it? Let me know, my good brother, what beat Death Stranding in UK? Can you say it? When you do, I'll get back to you. Now, we're going to go to Exhibit B. I don't want to hand out any more L's until we do this. I'm going to save y'all. So maybe y'all can stop before it gets any worse. I want to show you Exhibit B. Now, not only is it just wrong, just off of general knowledge, this gross generalization that he has over American critics, and even gamers for the most part. Again, a half-truth is not the truth. A half-truth is not the truth. Is it true that Americans buy a lot of shooters, that they spend a lot of time with shooters? Yes. But does that actually equate to they don't have the capacity in general to understand an artsy game? That's bullshit. Indies are big here. You know what I'm saying? That's baloney. And just like I just shown you, just off of general knowledge, what I believe most of y'all have, we try to have elevated and intelligent discussions. So y'all know better. Y'all just like playing. Y'all like playing the game. I'll play the game too. Fuck it. Y'all know better. This podcast isn't even needed. We all know better. We know that the gameplay within Death Stranding is abysmal. We know, however, that is abysmal. People like story over gameplay. I've had people, prominent people that you know in this community, tell me that they'd rather have a banging story than good gameplay. And that boggled my mind, but to each his own. You like it, I love it, I guess. With that being said, we know that the gameplay is abysmal. Even though you might like just doing remedial stuff to get to the next cutscene, the remedial act getting to the next cutscene, that might be enthralling to you. We know that the gameplay on its own is abysmal. But y'all don't want to give up that edge because y'all know abysmal gameplay is like Leslie to get God status. And y'all feel like anything either related to Kojima or anything related to PlayStation has to be God status all the time. Or it's a grand conspiracy. And y'all are willing to go and gobble up this bullshit about American critics that y'all know is bullshit just to satisfy that urge. Because you got to fulfill some self-filling need that everything I pick and everything I select is godly. And it's so godly, everybody feels that way. Y'all so goddamn worried about what everybody else thinks about what y'all like, that y'all can't face the facts and just say, you know what? Okay, the action is lacking, but I still enjoy riding over rocks until I get to the next cutscene. And maybe it doesn't get a 9 or a 10 or whatever, and maybe it doesn't deserve one, but it's still a game that I enjoy. Period. I see somebody in chat brought up Fallout 76, and that was my argument in entirety. I've never said that this game is like a 10 and people are holding it from its gods. This is a wonderful piece of art. I said no. I said I can see where everybody don't like the gameplay. People are over bloviating on what's wrong with the game. It's not true. However, I like the gameplay. I think it's a 7.5. I think there's other people that will enjoy it, and there's more than proof of that. Go to my homie Juicehead's YouTube channel, and you will see the massive support that Fallout 76 gets. And on Xbox, now PlayStation doesn't do a list like this, but on Xbox, Fallout 76 is back there in the most games played again. And it's likely there for PlayStation again as well. Its biggest community, though, that dwindles everything else, is PC. The PC community there is just massive. I know because I play on PC. But I am one that can say, hey, Fallout 76 doesn't deserve a 10 or 9 or whatever. But it's a game that I like. Everything that I like, I don't need for it to be considered God status from everyone else. I'm not that full of myself. Or I'm not that superficial, or I'm not that shallow inside. So honestly, this is a reflection on y'all. There might be some other things going on that y'all need to think about. With that being said, this podcast really ain't needed. It really ain't needed. I just didn't have shit to do before I started finishing Death Stranding. So I figured I'd give y'all a gut check. Because I love giving gut checks. But this really isn't needed. Y'all are not this dumb. You're not. I know because I interact with you guys pretty much on a daily basis, Monday through Friday. Y'all are not this dumb. Y'all know better than this. But again, if you want to play this game, let's play it. I go to Exhibit B. Analyst reveals that the lowest Death Stranding reviews, scores on Metacritic, are actually from European and Australian publications, such as VG247, a 3 out of 5, Digital Spy, 3 out of 5, Oz Gamers, 6 out of 10, and VGC, 3 out of 5. IGN 6.8 review was also covered by its Australian office. And then, on top of that, we have other YouTubers that will remain nameless. They're going to do videos because they've crunched numbers and they did mathematical computations. And as a result of the math that they've shown, they're saying that Kojima's a liar. And the one particular YouTuber that I found out is about to do this is a PlayStation guy. He's a PlayStation guy. And he says they have mathematical evidence to show that the highest or that the lowest Metacritic scores were not based in the US. So, if that is the case, how are y'all sitting up here today telling me that it's true that Americans are great fans of first-person shooters and Death Stranding isn't one and flies higher? That perhaps it's a difficult game to understand for a certain type of critic and audience. How can, in spite of all this evidence, how can you sit here and still cap for what Kojima said and say it's true without needing a drool napkin? Without your blood tests coming positive for lead poisoning? How? It's unfathomable, and it's impossible. So, I say that to say this, and then I'm going to close out, that everything that Kojima said in that statement, as it's been translated, is wrong. To my homie Wilson, it could be a mistranslation. That's why, honestly, that's why I waited to do this. You know me, they call me Ambulance Boss. As soon as the news story cracked, I'm there at the crack of dawn. I waited to see if there was going to be clarification and say, oh, this was a mistranslation. We've heard nothing from Kojima. So, with that being said, again, this wasn't needed. Well, it was needed. It wasn't needed to shed light on anything, though. Well, maybe it was. Maybe it was again, another proof of the gut check that y'all need in 2019. Because to be fair, I was gut checking my Xbox people all through 2018. Left and right. They got mad and called me all types of shit. So I'm not worried about names. I've already expressed it to you guys. You guys already seen that in 2018. That's why a lot of you are here. You're here because of the shit that I gave Xbox people in 2018. Well, I don't play favorites. The only favorite I play is To the Truth. So I don't care what console it is. I'm not on any of those boards. I don't have stock in any of those companies. I don't give a fuck. If you're wrong, you're wrong. And right here, purely, Kojima's wrong. Kojima is wrong. To make such a gross generalization of a group of people, some of his most staunchest fans, and for y'all to reciprocate like this is true, it's pathetic. It's pathetic. Do Americans love shooters? Yes, we love shooters. Do we love shooters maybe more than any other region? Possibly. But is our love for shooters a diluter of our ability to comprehend a game like Death Stranding? Or an artsy game, a game that's attempting to do something more. And to agree with that, you go against the grain, against the reception that indie games get here, that God of War got, that Outer Worlds got, that Sekiro got, games that ain't the pew-pew shooters like Top Dog says. That all that reception that the American critics give those type of games, all that gets swept away into a black hole and goes into oblivion in order for what you guys are capping for and the dumb shit that Kojima said in order for all that to be true. So again, on the sense of this shedding light on anything, no, it's not needed, but it's just a gut check. And I will continue to do gut checks as needed. With that said, before I roll out, let me go through this chat. Let's collect these L's. King Thresh Gaming said Death Stranding is an indie game. How was that? I'm not even going. King, you my bro. I love you. Pause. I love you, King. You be on some spaced out shit, man. I don't know if you ever listen to Keith Murray. We be like, I get high. And you be like, we go get high like some space cowboys, man. You be on some far out shit, bro. I can't. That's gonna take me a whole nother hour and a half to break down. We'll go back and forth. I'm not even getting into that, man. Big up to the homie King Thrash. Mr. Righteous Fist, hit the like button. People M2K needs money for his mans. I do. Overdone. Kojima might be retarded if he stated all Americans only play shooters, but those who are sensitive about it might just prove him right. How you liking that Death Stranding, Overdone? Let me know. Joanne said, calm down most blood pressure. I know, man. They told me calm down my blood pressure. Americans have the worst comprehension skills throughout other countries. Oh, okay. Well, you know what? Normally I wouldn't even entertain that. I would just let that slide, but I would say that your hero, if you're not American, based on everything that I showed you right now, I love you, brother, but you must be exception to the rule. I digest. No Russian, Thrash and Kojima code. Damn, I'm not saying all that. 706 Gamer. MM2K, the only shooter I can think of, score higher than Death Stranding this year is Gears 5 and Metacritic. Oh, don't say that. They might come after you in the parking lot. The Almighty said, Lethals don't count. He loving the game. Yeah, D, you trolling. Because we did a full 2-hour interview on the analysis of what Lethals feel about that game. It is far from loving it. He said they rush out when the king shows up. Oh no, brother. We done had, hey look, man, we done had plenty of podcasts where King done came through the chat and we had a very good entertaining back and forth through the chat, bro. King Thrash always keeping it live and bumping in the chat. Big up to my homie King Thrash. Philosopher Doom flies higher is pretty specific to misquote. Exactly. We know what we doing here. Mr. Righteous Fish, MM2K using Jehovah Witness side. Bridget William Wilderbees, I ain't seen you in a moment. Said, but this game is only on PlayStation for now. Philosopher Doom also says, the hell does that have to do with gamers? Are you blaming gamers for mass shooting? Oh, wow. Oh, no. Oh, wow. I don't, who is doing that? Wow. I don't even want to see that quote. Random guy, M2K, if you like Fallout 76, then you should like, hey, random guy, stop. Stop it, bro. Stop it, bro. Look. Let me break down why I like Fallout 76. And really, there's no comparison, random guy, because you ain't played Fallout 76. And 99.999% of y'all that like to cap on the game, yeah, look, I'ma say this. Opposite of King Thrash and maybe a couple other people in this chat, the overwhelming majority of y'all ain't played Death Stranding. And y'all capping for it. I know the game. I know the deal. Y'all pick up y'all power bombs and y'all talk shit, y'all play these games. I get it. Fine. Like I said, we're gonna play the game too, except the only difference is I actually play these games. With that being said, when I make this comparison of Death Stranding, which I'm glad random guy brought it up, I'm gonna make the comparison because these are both like not the most popular game. Fallout 76 more so not popular than Death Stranding, of course. But I'm gonna talk about both games, not for the sake of this chat, because I'm gonna be honest with y'all. Y'all ain't played. The majority of y'all ain't played neither one of these games. Neither one. But for those listeners that might come through that actually play games too, I'm going to cite this for them. The reason why I like Fallout 76, despite the fact that it didn't have NOCs and the fact that the story presentation isn't bam, bam, boom, 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 and boom, boom, kaboom. But even though the story presentation ain't like that, there is a story there. There definitely is a story there. There's a crazy ass story there, really. And it follows the same Fallout trend of crazy ass stories. The problem with Fallout 76 though is that I get it. One of the things that I did hate of Fallout is reading information on the terminals. And the way that the story is presented to you in Fallout 76 is you have to read terminals in order to catch the story. You got to listen to audio tapes. Like, even though the audio tape, there's a lot of audio tapes. And even though the audio tapes are there and you can listen to them, they're annoying. But to get the story lore out of it, that's the only way you can do it. Now, I love Fallout 76 primarily for its action. I love journeying the wasteland, going into remote areas. Hey, what place is this? And what the fuck could I encounter here? And some crazy ass monster comes out or some crazy shit comes out, attacks me, and I barely escape with my life. And then I go loot the chest and find some crazy weapons. For Fallout games, period, that's what I love. I love the journey. I love the search. I love the looting, and I love the enemy encounters. That's 80 to 90% of my enjoyment of Fallout. I get that there's people that play Fallout strictly going a straight, narrow A to B line, and they don't do the journey. But the majority of Fallout, the content, is based upon the journey. And Fallout 76 has that for me. It still has the journey. So that's why I like it. But again, I get it. I get the mainstream gamer. They want stories. They want dialogue. That's why I love Outer Worlds so much. I can't stand Outer Worlds. All this fucking dialogue, and as an end result, I'm getting a mod for a gun that I got 3 hours ago. Like, that's not worth it to me to go through all that talking. If I got a gun in my hand and I know I can use it, then let me use it and not let me talk. But then on the flip side of that, you got your RPGs, your turn-based RPGs. My favorite game of all time is a turn-based RPG, which is Final Fantasy II. It's a great game. It's actually on Xbox. Check it out. I love it. My favorite game of all times. So I'm one of those stupid Americans that does have a capacity to understand a game outside of a shooter. Again, my favorite game of all times is Phantasy Star 2. The best turn-based game ever. At me. Period. That said, that's why I like Fallout. But again, I don't claim that Fallout 76 should be considered, and I never said that. I'm not gonna lie, because I know it doesn't have that much broad appeal due to the lack of its dialogue trees. So it's not gonna be a 9, I get it. It doesn't have enough of the overall broad experience that, again, at a mainstream level, people love, for me to consider it a 9 and say that the vast majority of gamers are gonna like it. But believe you me, don't believe the bullshit. There are a lot of people playing the game. And what Bethesda's gonna do is they're gonna wait until that number reaches 10 million and they're gonna announce it, just like how they did with Elder Scrolls Online. Remember when everybody said Elder Scrolls Online was trash and it was dead and all that other stuff? And they came out at QuakeCon and said, oh, we're at 10 million. Everybody gasped. 10 million? Now everybody had to eat crow. And after everybody ate crow, what did they do? Now everybody said, oh, Elder Scrolls Online is so great. Now you got 15,000 motherfuckers on one channel alone watching Elder Scrolls Online. Because the magic number in this game is 10 million. It's all psychological. Y'all get sucked in psychologically and y'all don't even see it. So maybe there is some truth to what Kojima said. Maybe y'all don't have the conditioning to understand what's going on around you. But maybe it's not as he explicitly says it is. The magic number is 10 million. Once they said that Elder Scrolls Online had reached 10 million people, all of a sudden it's a great fucking game. Before then, Elder Scrolls Online is trash. There's somebody that I know that kept saying Elder Scrolls Online is trash. It's trash. Until they announced 10 million, the next day, yeah, that's a great game. Never picked it up. Never picked up the game. That's what y'all do. But I'm glad my homie Random Guy brought that up, because I have the ability, even though it's a game that I like, even though I'm a Bethesda fanboy, like how the homie King Thrash is a Kojima nut. He came up with videos, the 8,000 things that you didn't notice in Death Stranding, scene 1. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm a Bethesda fanboy at that level. But I understand and I'm okay with mainstream not liking my shit. I'm not that shallow. I don't give a fuck if y'all like it or not. Y'all are not buying the game for me. Period. But thank you, Random Guy, for bringing that up. And let's go back to the bottom. Philosopher Doom said, ESO did some work, though, early on. I was an alpha tester of Doom for ESO, and I'm a Bethesda nut. I'm gonna be honest with you. Because I have a good friend that was working for Bethesda at the time, so I thought I was the shit. I had just left working with the New Age faction. That was a very small publication, and I didn't know what I was going to do at the gaming level besides that. And when I got this copy, I was like calling them up, talking shit. I know somebody at Bethesda. Yeah, I got my alpha copy ESO. And I was playing it. And I was like, man, oh man, this is some bad shit. So they were doing work earlier on, just like how they're doing work earlier on now on Fallout 76. They still got a long way to go to make it anywhere more fathomable for a more broader audience. But my point, Philosopher Doom, is that the day before they announced they reached 10 million with ESO, and the day after they announced it, At its core, it was the same exact game. They didn't at QuakeCon flip some switch and it became this prettier, more fluid. It was the same exact game. But yet, just like night and day. Mofos came out of the woodwork. On Friday, they said ESO sucked. By the time Monday came, ESO was great. Why simply over one number, 10 million? And they didn't even pick up the game. So again, like I said, I know how the game is played. Homie D Almighty said, if anyone is offended over what Kojima said, is proving him correct. If y'all feel he's wrong, prove him wrong. And no. That's bullpucky. That's bullpucky. No. We're not going, that's like me saying, D, I pull you over at a stop sign. I racially profile you. And I say, you get racially profiled, you took offense to that, and that's wrong. If being racially profiled to you is a problem, and you think I was wrong for doing that, then prove me wrong by donating to the police force. Enter to our raffle. No, I'm not supporting somebody that says something stupid. Why would I support him? That's horrible. No. You said something stupid, so I'm gonna give you money. That's dumb. No, absolutely not. He generalized all Americans. D, I see you in the chat, man. You fugazi today, bro. You talk about that's important. He profiled Americans. He said all Americans don't have the capacity pretty much because all we know is pew, 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 pew. That's basically what he's saying. So to prove him wrong, I'm going to buy his game? No, I'm not going to buy his game. I'm just going to do what I did. I'm going to point to the truth. Why I got to give him money? I'm going to point to the truth. Just like in the same token in that bad scenario you said, I'm not going to donate to the police force. We're going to take this to trial and I'm going to point out the truth. I'm going to point out the goddamn truth. And here goes the truth. I'm not giving this fool. I did buy the game for y'all. I'm doing all this yelling and screaming. Hey, look, I got to keep it. I did buy the game so I can play it for y'all. But be outside of that, D Almighty. I'm not giving them a dime. No. Or I'm saying for the public that aren't interested, don't give them a dime. Just point to the truth. Here's the truth. The most critically acclaimed game in the series in the US are Sekiro, Devil May Cry 5, and The Outer Worlds this gen. Witcher 3 and God of War, far from shooters, sir. Want better? Acclaim here in vain of God of War. Do better. Y'all know the rest. You know what I'm saying? My homie D Almighty. He got me. Hey, look. Hey, D just exposed me, bruh. He just exposed me. D, I don't appreciate you doing that on my show, man. That's horrible. Yeah, I bought the goddamn game. I had a copy coming. I thought that somebody was going, hook me up, and I had a copy coming, and it didn't work out. So I had to go get the game so I could stream it, man. I'm gonna be honest with y'all though. Woo! I got a video coming out tomorrow on my thoughts on the game. Woo! Yeah, if y'all grew up here in dummy land America, and look, and I say that to say this. I'm not saying that I'm a staunch fan of American politics. I'm a staunch fan of the powers to be, that I'm a fan of their vision. I'm not saying that. I'm talking about the everyday Joe Schmo that I know. That mean nobody no harm. That's just trying to do their thing and survive. I don't appreciate this privileged motherfucker sitting on the other end of the horn talking about we don't have the capacity to understand his dog shit. Fuck him. Yeah, I said it, fuck him. I don't appreciate that. He don't know me. He don't know the people that I game with. He don't know us all like that. But he understands the culture. But he's so upset. And he's so flabbergasted that he don't get his glowing praise to substantiate the fact that he walks around with bodyguards. He ain't get his glowing praise. He gonna lash out on somebody. So stop it. And I'm not going to blame a whole society for the actions of the powers that be. That would like be me, you know what I'm saying, saying that all the people of China are this because the people in power. No, that's not true. Y'all got to learn how to separate the powers to be from the citizenry. And I get it. There's a lot of fuddy-duddy stuff going on here. And then there are some of the citizenry that roll with the fuddy-duddy stuff. But it's not even a majority. It's not even a majority of the citizenry that go with the fuddy-duddy stuff. Y'all got to understand, there is a system here from the powers that be that make things go a certain way, that prohibits people from exercising rights that they're supposed to have. There's a whole bunch of shit that goes on here that's outside of the average Joe Schmo's hands. So just because our powers to be act a certain way, that don't mean that that's indicative of all of us. Just like your powers to be do shit all the time. That's not indicative of you. I would never make a bonehead statement and associate something that Boris Yeltsin, whoever Boris Johnson did, and say that's what Overdone does. I would never do that. What he does ain't got nothing to do with Overdone. Paul, just sounds like you want Kojima to touch you, but I digress. So that's all I'm saying. Like, there's no excuse for that, because opposite of all the fuddy-duddy stuff that's going on here, when you take politics out of it and you go with strictly gaming, Kojima is loved here. Kojima is loved in the States. And this guy, literally, y'all ain't peering behind the veil and looking at what's going on here. This guy is so self-absorbed. He thinks that he just deserves critical acclaim. He's so fucking self-absorbed that because he didn't get critical acclaim in every single household, he's now picking a villain and he's attacking that villain and generalizing them. And y'all are making that okay. And how can you... I'm going to say this. Let me just bring this out, because let's be real here. A lot of people are saying, and I'm not going to get political here and pick sides. That's what I not do here, because and I have my opinions about stuff, but I don't share them here because y'all don't come here to listen to MM2K/Fox News/MSNBC. Y'all don't come here for that. Y'all come here for my opinions, for me screaming and hollering all over my pop filter about games. But I will say this. Let me get down to the nitty gritty. A lot of motherfuckers that are mad at America are mad at us about Trump. Right or wrong? That's what y'all mad about. What happened to my... Y'all mad about Trump. Make sure I'm still live. Am I still live? Can y'all still hear me? Okay, I'm still live. I just wanted to make sure. I thought my wife had knocked out my cord. All right. So, let me do this. So, a lot of y'all are mad at America because of Trump, right or wrong. Now, I want to say this. For those of you that are mad at Trump for the things that he says, for the generalizations that he makes, right? Do y'all understand how hypocritical you sound? That you are mad at Trump and you're mad at the generalizations that he makes. Therefore, you are mad at the people that support him. Therefore, you are mad at the country of origin that those people that support him come from. Do you understand how idiotic you sound having those feelings? But at the same token, somebody that you like does the exact same thing. grossly generalizes a population, and for people to come at him and then come at you in response and say you need to look in the mirror because y'all are just doing the same tribal shit that his supporters are doing? What's up, Fatal? Do you see the irony here? Again, y'all are mad at Trump because Trump makes gross generalizations about people and he makes falsehoods about people as far as you're concerned, and he says shit about people that just ain't right and he just wipes it with a broad brush. You are mad at the people that support him that ignores the fact that a lot of the shit that he says is inaccurate, it's wrong, but they ignore it because they like the man. And he's in power. And therefore, because you don't like him, therefore you don't like his supporters that do that, you don't like the country of origin that they come from, hence why y'all say that all Americans are dumb. Even though you have Americans that may agree with you. With that being said, but on the flip side, in the same token, in the same breath, y'all can sit here and make excuses for Kojima, who made a gross generalization, just like Trump. And y'all don't understand why people are looking at y'all like y'all fugazi, just like Trump supporters. And saying that there's something symptomatically wrong with y'all. And the PlayStation Nation and Kojima stands, just like America. Do you see the parallels there? Maybe that's what's above y'all heads. If a Kojima game is above Americans' heads, maybe reality and the parallels and the irony of everything that I just laid out is above your heads. And you need to think about that. Yeah, today was gut check time. With that said, I appreciate everybody coming out. I gave y'all some food for thought. Absorb it, eat it, live off of it. You know what I'm saying? I appreciate everybody coming through. No rushing. I've been had skills. You know what I'm saying? Johansson Villegas, Larry Caldwell, Mr. Righteous Fish, Graphic God, Lady Foxfire. Big ups to Lady Foxfire coming through. The random guy. Ooh. Uh-oh. My PC freeze up. We had Miko Doss in the house. Big up to Miko Doss, man. I ain't seen you in a moment. Doss, what's going on, bro? Oh, my PC's acting up, man. Oh yeah, we're gonna have to close this. I don't know what the hell's going on. 706 Gamer, yo. Cold Blood Sensei says, Americans buy mostly COD and shit. That's not trying something new. That's why Xbox is failing. I don't know. Oh damn! Fallout. 706 Gamer says Fallout 76 is better than Death Stranding. Very well, may be. I'm gonna be fair, and I'm going to finish Death Stranding. It's gonna be a rough one. I got my initial video review coming out tomorrow. So with that said, and King Thrash Gaming, thank you King Thrash for coming through. Support my bro's channel. Funny guy. Really, Thrash is a closet pony, but he don't want to admit it. You know what I'm saying? I ain't trying to trigger him because every time you say that, he go bananas. But check out my bro's channel, man. Funny guy. And with that said, man, y'all all have a wonderful gaming day. Peace.